Awesome. Okay, so like I said, this is the 2 year sort of anniversary of when I came on board and when we had a little bit of a shift in ownership. So I set our fiscal year is still January to December, but I set our annual review period from August 15th to August 15th every year. And so I did the survey, which all of you except Joe saw. We got 27 responses, which is awesome, super great across the entire network. A lot of writers, a lot of site directors, editors, whatever. So pretty great. So I'm going to go through all that stuff right now. So let me, I'll just jump on here and give you guys a quick agenda. So we'll do an annual review, some of the metrics, the survey results, some plans for year 3, and some of the cool opportunities that are coming up at the company. So year in review, this is the same basic slide that I put up last year. You can see last year's data here and this year's data. So traffic across the network in terms of visits, uniques, and page views is represented across the x-axis here. The yellow line was the 2011-2012 base period, the year before I came on board. Last year we saw a little bit of a dip in visits, uniques, and a little bit of a bump in page views. That's represented by the red line. This year, 2013-2014, represented by the blue line there. You can see that we're up across the board on everything, in visits, uniques, and page views, pretty substantially over the red line, which is the first year that I was on board. So this is great. A couple other good metrics. Obviously, those three things, visits are up 25%, uniques are up 33%, page views up 14%. That's pretty awesome. Some of the other metrics, the bounce rate and the percent return visitors were down, but not a huge concern. This is the year in review in terms of revenue from advertising. And I delineate that this is from advertising because we now have other streams of revenue that we've explored and open up kind of on the side. So I'm not counting that additional revenue. This is just the revenue that has traditionally been what Important Media's bread and butter is. So I wanted to have consistent comparisons from year to year. So advertising means everything from sponsorships, direct sponsorships, sponsored posts, AdSense, Yahoo, and third-party solar lead generation through Solar Lead Factory, OneBog, those guys who are monetizing all that stuff. Effectively, everything that you guys traditionally see on our sites in terms of things that people click on and go to or read or whatever that people pay us to promote. So again, the red line is last year's stats, 2012-2013. This is monthly revenue, so you're tracking every month from August to August. You can see that the blue line generally stays above the red line pretty much the entire year, with a couple of outliers in November and March. And overall revenue is up from last year by 26%, which is great growth. So anyway, all good news across the board in terms of revenue. I will say with one caveat that most of our growth has really come from two sites, CleanTechnica and Gas2. A lot of the other sites are muddling along, moving up slightly, moving down slightly, not huge shifts in any of the other sites. It's mostly been Gas2 and secondarily CleanTechnica that have really grown and raised our advertising revenue as well as our page views, uniques, all that stuff. Last year I went through the Google PageRanks from our sites, which ones went up, which ones went down. Last year a couple of our sites lost a point, a couple of our sites gained a point. I'm curious if this even matters anymore. I'm looking at certain things across the network and across other sites that we look at in competition. It doesn't necessarily scream that it matters. I'm sure on some level it matters, but I'm just not going to focus on it because I don't want anybody else to be fixated by it. Gas.
Google has said repeatedly, don't be fixated on it. It's one piece of a huge puzzle. So
Right.
it's a good sort of signal for general signal.
Yeah, definitely. And I just again just don't want anybody focusing on it or fixating on it or just getting too transfixed by it. Gas2's PageRank dropped to a 2 recently for no apparent reason, and we obviously went through Webmaster Tools to try and figure out why. But it hasn't affected search at all. In fact, Gas2's traffic just continues to grow, which is awesome. So anyway, just wanted to point that out, that even for those of you who are tracking what I did last year versus this year's slideshow, I did throw this in last year, so I just want to at least address it this year and say that I'm just not that concerned about it. Here are the results of the survey. So the survey I put out that everyone except Joe saw. The 27 responses that I got represents maybe about 10 more or 15 more than we had last year, which is also awesome. I repeated a couple of questions from last year's survey. The number one question was, the site I write for is primarily on the upswing. And this year, on a scale of 1 to 10, the average response was a 7.62. Last year's average response was 4.15. I view that as awesome. The pay I receive is improving. This year's average response, 6.77. Last year's 3.2, so we doubled this. I mean, this is huge. This is my number one goal. For those of you guys who remembered my my inauguration sort of address, I spoke a lot about raising revenue and raising pay across the board. So I'm really glad to see that people feel like their pay is improving, and I do feel like it is. The linking contest continues to get really mediocre reviews. People either love it, hate it, or don't even know what it is. So it's I think there's still, Joe and I need to do a little bit more communications, a little bit more education in terms of why this thing is good, that we're going to continue to do it, that it's a voluntary thing, but there's cash rewards. I was expecting that to be a no-brainer, everybody loves it kind of thing. If you do it, great, you make extra money. If you don't, like, there's no penalties. But clearly I'm not communicating that very well, and the below 50% approval rating on that is something that I obviously have to work on. I also asked, how am I doing? And obviously I think people sugarcoat a lot of stuff when I'm the guy who not only writes the survey, but then also gets the responses. So 7.74 out of 10. I think with the overcorrection and over patting on the back that most people are going to do, I'm going to put that at about a 5 in probably realistic terms. But anyway, that's a good sign. It was better than last year as well. I think people are actually more aware that we have a central organization to this company this year than they were perhaps last year, so that's a good thing. As business development manager, Joe got approval rating 6.37 out of 10 overall. I think Joe's been doing a great job and really helping out a lot of people. So I expect to see that continue to go up next year as more people work with him. Year in review, the ideas that people sent out for improvement through the survey. So this was an open-ended question I asked in the survey. People said they would love a monthly get-together. Several people said this. It's ironic because we have tried it several times and it doesn't really resonate. People don't show up. So not quite sure what to do with that. Several people also suggested a monthly email update from across the network. Joe has been doing this, so clearly we need to communicate this better and get it to more writers. More communication to writers. Somebody suggested an airline sponsor. I just thought that was funny, to cover all of our travels to various events that we want to cover. More revenue, yeah, of course, that's always a good thing. Somebody suggested that we leverage Huffington Post and the Drudge Report more as sites that we can write for free, that have good page ranks, that can drive some traffic to our sites, and that seems like that might be a good idea. People suggested that they'd like to see more of the stats. Several people actually looked at, what are the page views of my articles, etc., and they want bonuses based on performance of their articles, rather than random linking. Several people also said we really need to stick to site themes. People get confused when they're reading a particular site and they subscribe to a particular site, and then articles are way off topic, and that is a huge thing for me, and Joe and I have already discussed this, and this is a big part of why we're trying to do the the mini networks now, and having one person sort of oversee several sites and make sure that those themes are consistently laid in. So